First Narad said, Yal labdhva, on attaining which. Then he said, Yat praptya, on receiving what. And now he says, Yaj gyatva, merely by knowing this will be the consequence. In other words, knowing, the power of knowledge is so tremendous. What is the reason for all our miseries? Ajnanamevasya hi moola karanam. We have this ignorance within. We have our eternal Father who is waiting with open arms to embrace. But we don't know that He's our Father. I told you all this joke last year that a person went to a restaurant. On the opposite table was an old man hunched up with a hat on his head and a youngster, bright and bubbly and exuberant. They both were drinking away enough to sail a ship. When all of a sudden they started speaking, and the person by the next table was hearing them. The old man said, "Young boy, where do you live?" The youngster said, "Sir, I live in Artesia, Los Angeles." "Really? That's where I live as well." "Which subdivision do you live in?" He said, "I live in the Woolworth subdivision." "Oh, that's where I live also." "And which apartment?" He said, "The Linwood Apartments." "Linwood Apartments? That's where I live as well." This person is looking, they live in the same apartments, they've never seen each other. But you know, in America, it's like that. It's a very impersonal society. You don't even know your neighbor. So he said, "Which floor do you live in?" He said, "On the 4th floor." "4th floor? That's where I live as well. What's your apartment number?" He said, 420. 420 is my apartment also. How come we don't know each other? So this guy is so astonished that two people are living in the same house and they don't know each other. The manager called him. He said, "Look, sir, don't be surprised. These two have done the same drama here for the last 2 years. They are father and son. But when they drink so much, they forget their relationship. And that is when they start asking that, where are you, where do you live, etc." In other words, that alcohol destroys the knowledge in the intellect. It may seem humorous, but the fact is we are in the same state. We ask God, "Where are you? Where do you live?" Without realizing that He is in our heart and He is our eternal Father. If only we could know it. The Vedas say, "Tameva viditva timrityumeti nanya pantha vidyate yanai." By knowing Him, you will cross over the ocean of life and death. There is no other means. If you say just knowing Him, to know means to truly know. If you get to know that you have won the American Lotto, $630 million, I am sure you'll jump 2 feet into the air. All problems solved. But that $630 million, is God more valuable or is that money more valuable? Of course, God is the ultimate jackpot. And He is sitting inside us. Now, if we know that we have this jackpot right within us, shouldn't we jump 4 feet into the air? The problem is we don't know. Hence, again, the scriptures, Vedas say, "Gyatva devam muchyate sarva pashai." Merely by knowing that Lord, you will cut the bonds of Maya. There was once a king who got annoyed with his only son, and to teach him a lesson, he expelled him from the palace. Get out, I don't wish to see you before my eyes again. The son went here and there. Unfortunately, he had not learned the skills and techniques to brave the waves of this ocean of Maya. And he had to resort to begging to feed his stomach. So in a nearby town, he became a beggar. The king grew old. He was now on his deathbed. He did not have a successor. So his ministers advised him that you may have gotten annoyed with your son, but ultimately he is your son. He is the best successor. The king realized, and he said, go find him and tell him I have called for him. I wish him to be coronated now. The ministers went here and there, and they found this guy as a beggar. He had the dress of a tramp with a begging bowl in his hand, Bhiksham Dehi, when the ministers came. They offered the royal salute to him and said, your father, His Majesty, has sent the message. You, the crown prince, are going to be the next successor to his throne. You will be the king of so-and-so. So he said, really? He straightened his chest. He said, get the chariot ready and get me a drink of water. We are going to depart within 5 minutes. Now the people who were standing and looking, they said, you were the most diffident beggar just 5 minutes ago. And all of a sudden your whole demeanor is exuding so much of confidence and authority, and you have this kingly air in your gait. He said, naturally, 5 minutes ago I did not know that I am the king to be. And now when I have come to know, why should I remain like a beggar? Merely the knowledge transformed him. That is the power of knowledge. So some people don't understand. Oh, Swamiji, you preach Bhakti? Then you must be just preaching Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram. We people discuss Gyan. Aham Brahmasmi. We are armchair Vedantis. Look, Bhakti is not contradictory to Gyan. Gyan feeds Bhakti, and Bhakti feeds Gyan. True Gyan, true knowledge is that which leads to love. If you get knowledge that this is a priceless jewel you have, you will naturally develop love for it. And if you don't have love, means you don't know its value, its worth, you don't have knowledge. That is why if somebody truly understands the Bhagavad Gita, they must develop love for Sri Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he went on a tour of South India, so he came to a temple where the Brahmins were doing Gita Path. They were all sitting with the Bhagavad Gita in front of them and reciting. Klesho dekatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta higatir dukkham dehavat bhirvapyate. One of the Brahmins had the Gita upside down. It was obvious that he didn't know how to read, so he could not distinguish that the letters were topsy-turvy. But he was shedding tears. The other Brahmin said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is a hypocrite. He doesn't know how to read. He keeps the Gita in front and starts crying. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the Brahmin, you don't know how to read? Maharaj, this grace was not bestowed on me. I am unlettered. Then why are you crying? He said, when the Gita is in front, the scene of Mahabharata comes before my eyes. There is the battleground of Kurukshetra with the two armies lined up. And between these two battling armies is the chariot of Arjun with Sri Krishna as the charioteer. Arjun in confusion is placing his doubts before Krishna. And Krishna is dispelling them out of his causeless compassion. When I think about this, I feel how kind and merciful Sri Krishna is. Thinking in this manner, my heart melts and I start crying. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lifted him up and embraced him. You are the knower of the Bhagavad Gita. This is the meaning of knowing the Bhagavad Gita, that you develop love. So if we don't develop love, means we don't really know. If you don't have love for that paras, that means you don't know it is a paras. And if you can merely know what will happen, the Ramayana says, Soi janai jehi dehu janai, janat tumahi tumhahi hue jai. You will get to know God by His grace. And when you know Him, janat tumahi tumhahi hue jai, you will become God-like. He says such a big thing that if you truly get to know God, you will become God-like. Brahmavit brahmaiva bhavati. So Narad ji, the Acharya of Bhakti, says, Yaj gyatva. When you truly know what will happen, matto bhavati, you will become intoxicated. In what? VAT 69? In divine love. Kripaluji Maharaj has written this, his prime granth, Prem Ras Madira. The intoxicating ambrosia of divine love, of the nectar of divine love. So he relates that once he was sitting with a group of devotees and there was a new devotee there. So some devotee said, Maharajji, please sing a pad. Maharajji asked one of the devotees, Madira Lana? He was referring to the Prem Ras Madira. We have a few kirtans of that in our books. So we have collated from his different books. The big book is Prem Ras Madira with 1008 pads. So in short, he used to refer to it as Madira. So he said, Madira Lana. Now Madira also means alcohol. So one of the new devotees, he said, what? Gurudev is going to drink alcohol? He's saying, bring the drinks. He got up and went off. After a few weeks, Maharajji met him and said, what happened to you? Why have you not been coming? So he said, Maharajji, if you don't mind, that day you asked for the alcohol, that's why I left. But Maharajji was referring to the divine alcohol. That is the nectar of devotion. All the saints have talked about it. Guru Nanak went to the court of Babur, the Mughal Badshah, and Babur offered him bhang, opium, and said, Sai ji, bhang lijiye. Guru Nanak was relishing the intoxication of something sweeter. He responded, Bhang tambaku chhotara utar jaye parbhat, naam khumari nanaka chadhi rahe din raat. O king, the intoxication of your bhang will be over tomorrow and you'll have a hangover. And the intoxication of the holy name that I am experiencing, that remains day and night. That is the matto matto bhavati, which Narad is referring to. You become madon mat. Omar Khayyam, a Sufi saint, he has referred to God as an intoxication, a divine intoxication. So people nowadays have labeled their whiskies as the Omar Khayyam whiskey, without understanding what he was referring to and what he was talking about. So the intoxication is the experience of bliss. He is the ocean of bliss. And through bhakti, we relish the bliss. And that is what leads to the intoxication of the mind and intellect. So Narad ji says now here in this sutra that by knowing him, you will get intoxicated. Just like, the devotees spontaneously stand up and start dancing. In 1999, Kripaluji Maharaj first time came out of India. I was in Nepal and we invited him to Kathmandu. So the program was organized and people were saying, oh, Mukundananda, Maharaj ji has organized it all very well. Maharaj ji said nothing. Then he showed, look, all the devotees are dancing. He said they have received so much of satsang that they have got intoxicated. That is the real accomplishment. So the intoxication of the holy name, the matto bhavati. And then the next one is stabdho bhavati. Stabdho bhavati means when the bliss increases, then one becomes stabd, samadhist, in a divine trance. So both the experiences are there. You get intoxicated and then go into a divine trance. As was the example of Sutikshna ji Maharaj. You may remember him from the Ram Katha. Sutikshna was the disciple of Agastya. He was a little orphan child whom sage Agastya had kept in his service. So he used to help out Gurudev. Once Agastya said, Beta, I am going on a little pilgrimage. I will be back in 48 hours. The Shaligram that I have, you please do puja of it tomorrow in my place. Shaligram is the round manifestation of God found in Damodar Kund that people keep in their worship. So little Sutikshna said, all right, Gurudev. Now the next day, he thought, all right, now how will I worship this Shaligram? Let me take him to the stream and then wash him there. On the way to the stream, he found a jamun tree. The black Indian jamun fruits. So being a little boy, he was tempted. He took a stone and chucked it. A few jamuns came down. He tasted them. Now, jamuns have this intriguing kind of taste that's very fascinating to children. So he got a few more jamuns down. Now the greed got invoked. He picked up Gurudev's Shaligram and chucked it without realizing what he's doing. And the Shaligram went right between the leaves and the twigs, went through the tree into the stream. Now he realized, oh my God, I have lost the Shaligram. So he tried to find it. It got lost in the pebbles of the stream, the riverbed, or it had got flown away by the current. He was unable to find that Shaligram. He said, Guruji is going to beat me up. His sacred Shaligram, I have thrown it away. What to do? He said, look, the jamun is also black and Shaligram is also black. Maybe Guruji may fall for it. He took one jamun and placed it on the Singhasan where the Shaligram was supposed to be and took it back. Next day, Gurudev came. He said, this shaligram looks a little different. He took the water and poured it and rubbed it. The peel and the seed got separated. Gurudev said, Sutikshan, what is this? Sutikshan said, Gurudev, it's all the pratap of your bhakti. God is reciprocating in this manner. Gurudev said, what nonsense. You have done something. Go and get my shaligram. I don't want this jamun out here. Until you get that shaligram, don't come back. So Sutikshan decided, I will get God himself and bring him back. He went off. For 40 years he roamed around in the forest, engaging in devotion to Lord Ram. And when Ram, he stayed in Chitrakoot for 12.5 years, then started coming southwards. So he met Sharbhang Rishi. And then Sutikshan got the news that Ram is coming. What happened? First he became mat. Dishi aru vidishi पंथ नहीं सूझा को मैं चलेयू कहाँ नहीं बूझा. He started dancing. कबहु क फिरी पाछे पुनि जाई, कबहु क नृत्य करत गुन गाई. Sometimes he would dance forward, sometimes dance backward. In other words, he got intoxicated in that devotion. Ram is coming, Ram is coming, Ram is coming. And then finally, he became stubbed. First mat and then stubbed. So he sat down thinking of Ram. Moni Ram bahu bhanti jagava, jagan dhyan anit sukha pava. Ram came to wake him up and he's not waking up. He's just gone into a divine trance. So finally, Ram pulled his form out of his mind. He had been meditating on Ram and that form disappeared. That is when he opened his eyes and he saw Ram is there. So Ram said, I wish to bestow my blessings upon you. Sutikshan said, Maharaj, I have a humble request. Will you please come and give darshan to Gurudev? So Ram said, all right. So Sutikshna took Ram with him to the hut of Agastya. And he said, Gurudev, I am your disciple from the last 40 years. Yes, Agastya said, who's that? Sutikshan. Yes, Gurudev, I had committed, right? You said that don't come back until you get the shaligram of God. I have got God himself. Agastya said, what a disciple you are. You have got God to me. I am extremely thrilled. But Sutikshna displayed the second point that Narad talks about, stabdho bhavati. And the third one, atma ramo bhavati. The devotee starts rejoicing in the self, becomes atma ram, needs nothing from the outside. Actually, these Sanskrit words have many meanings. So the word Atma is used for the soul. It is also used for God. At means pervading. The soul is pervading in the body. There is the Paramatma who is pervading in the whole universe. And there is Mahavishnu who is pervading in infinite universes. So Kripaluji Maharaj says that from At Dhatu you get the word Vyapak, and Ramu Kridayam Dhatu means, Atmaram here means the mind plays with Sri Krishna. These are the consequences of bhakti. Let's move ahead.